blueberry dressing. That is flavor, so do not throw that away. Support your local hookers. Recipes and ideas are just that, ideas. Recipes are guides, so you can make it your own. Hello, this is Rebecca, and welcome to my channel. Today I have some healthy and easy meal ideas for you. Today is Monday, and tonight for dinner we are having baked chicken. And I'm going to reheat some of these greens. This is kale with onion, a little bit of bacon grease, salt, pepper, garlic, and red pepper flakes, along with about 2 tablespoons of vinegar. And then also, for our starch tonight, we are going to season up this can of cannellini beans. And I have no idea what I'm going to do with it just yet, but I'll let you know. What I've done with the chicken is just seasoned it with salt, pepper, garlic, and paprika. That's going in 375. The best way to know if it's done is with a thermometer. Let it read 165. The worst kind of chicken is overcooked chicken because you're afraid that it's not done. But if the temperature is 165 and the juices are clear, it is done. That's how you get juicy breast, by making sure it is actually done but not overcooked. So I figured out what I'm going to do with these cannellini beans. And I've got the kale already warmed up here. The chicken has just a few minutes left, and then it'll be done. But for these beans, so I really don't use white beans often. I don't know, I was in the mood for some sort of like Italian dish a couple months ago and bought them and never used them, never made the dish. I don't remember what I was going to make with them. So I recently got a new cookbook, the Health Nut cookbook. Anyhow, I just got her cookbook, and she has just a lot of like simple, healthy recipes in there. So I went to her book first to see if she had a cannellini bean recipe. It had a kale and white bean soup. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm making kale and I have white beans. So what I did, obviously didn't make the soup, but I took some of the ingredients and seasoned the beans with it. So I ended up doing salt and pepper, of course, as always, and garlic. She does not call for garlic, but I do like garlic and beans. And then I added just 1 drop of the Lemon Vitality Essential Oil. You could use just a tablespoon or 2 of lemon juice. And then I did just 1 toothpick swirl of the Thyme Vitality Essential Oil. Otherwise, you would use maybe like a 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon dried. This is just very strong, so you don't really want a whole drop in something as like 1 can. If I was making like a pot of beans, you could put a drop in there. And then also some red chili flakes, and which, you know, the lemon, the thyme, red chili flakes, and the paprika is in her recipe for the soup, along with other things. And so I thought it was great because I put paprika and garlic on the chicken, so it just kind of ties all together. You know, I like to have, you know, a healthy meat, a healthy starch, and a vegetable for most of my meals. If I were to have leftovers, and this is something that I would have like maybe thought about prior, I would just mix it all together with some broth, and then honestly, that's your white bean and kale soup. I love doing that kind of stuff too, and taking dinner and turning it into other things, like not just having the same leftovers, but transforming the leftovers. The reason I don't have more than 1 can of beans is because I am trying to clean out everything in my pantry. I'm not going back to the grocery store this week. We do not go back until this Friday or Saturday, I believe. So I just want to use everything up that we have, not waste anything. So I inserted the thermometer into the largest part of the chicken breast, and the number on the bottom left is the temperature of the chicken. That one's done.
Yeah, 165.
It's done.
Cool.
We have our baked chicken with some skin on it. We have beans and our kale. Tonight is Tuesday, and for dinner tonight we are having salmon with a rice pilaf. And for the salmon, we just marinated it in olive oil, this garlic powder, about 1/2 teaspoon of rosemary, 2 drops of the Lemon Vitality Essential Oil, or you could use 1 tablespoon of fresh lemon juice, pepper, and a little bit of salt. And for the rice, which is a cauliflower rice, we are sauteing up a red pepper and a red onion with just a little bit of salt on it, and we'll season that in a minute.
The onions make you cry, by the way.
Yes, they do. And we just have frozen rice cauliflower that we'll add, and we're going to add some herbs and other seasonings to that in a minute. I'm also going to add some goat cheese. So I added the cauliflower rice to the dish, and before I did that, I deglazed the pan with a little pomegranate vinegar, which I would have used red wine or balsamic if I had it, but the pomegranate worked wonderfully. Then we added some garlic and just a 1/4 teaspoon of rosemary to pair with the flavors of the salmon. And then we also added some salt and pepper to the rice pilaf. Now at the very end, once I turn off the heat, then I'll add the goat cheese, but I'll do that right before we serve. And here's the salmon. And this is going to go into a 375-degree oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. The cauliflower rice off the heat and added 2 ounces of goat cheese. Made it super creamy. And the salmon still has time to go. We took it out and I moved the rack up and put it on 400 because it was not cooking. And we will see what it looks like when it's all done. So here's how it turned out. This is our dinner on Tuesday night. And that is an easy, healthy dinner. Oh my gosh, is this good. I love when you can just throw something together and it actually turns out great. The goat cheese and the rosemary pair so perfectly well together. Because the rosemary is a kind of, I mean, it's an herb, but it's like an herbaceous herb. It's a pretty bold flavor. Goat cheese is also kind of a bold flavor. It's very tangy. It does have a similar taste to cream cheese, but it's like cream cheese and vinegar meat. And the goat cheese and rosemary, they just like balance each other out so well. And the little pop of lemon from the salmon is delicious. I mean, we just used what we had, made something spectacular. Today is Wednesday, and for dinner tonight, I am making a mozzarella chicken. So right now I just have the chicken tenders seasoned with salt, pepper, garlic, also onion powder, and then some oregano. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bake it at 375 for about 20 minutes. These chicken tenders do not take too long to cook. And then I'm going to top it with this heirloom tomato sauce. It's very good. And the ingredients are good. There's no sugar. And the macros are good on it as well. And after I top that, then I'm going to top it with some mozzarella cheese. And I do gotta tell you, I usually get the mozzarella cheese organic, but this week I said I was not going to Kroger, so when I had to get the last minute things last Friday from my local market, this is all they had. It was $1.99, and it is probably better than regular stuff you would get from your grocery store, but it's still not organic. And broil it so it's nice and bubbly. And for our side, I'll make some green beans, and I'll show you that in a second when I get that going. And then I also picked up these pitas on sale from my market too. I'm going to get the pita pizzas in the oven, so I'm just going to use the pitas. And then we picked up some La Rosa's pizza sauce at Jungle Jim's, and then top it with the cheese that we have left over. And if I had turkey pepperoni, I would totally put that on it too to add some protein, but we are using what we have this week. So the oven is preheating right now. As soon as it's ready, I'm going to pop this baby in, and then I'll show you along the way. And there it is. We're going to put it in now. So the chicken is in the oven. It still has over 10 minutes left, but I got the pizzas ready. And here goes that dog. He's going to bark again. Dexter, come on now. I mean, he's a good protector, but geez, oh Pete's, man. Unless they come to the door, you know? It's like he's barking at someone walking down the street. Anyway, we got that going, and then I do have the green beans going. These are the green beans, you know, that I got on my haul. And you can see they're like, they look like the green beans you would pick from the garden. Like the cut green beans that I have bought previously frozen are short and like really fat. I don't know. And they're not the Italian style green beans. There are different, and there's French style. These, I guess, are more of a French style, but fresher, if that makes sense. But I just really like the texture of them, and plus you get over like a pound, and like there's 5 or 6 of them that come for like $5. I don't know. It's like cheaper and better, and that's what I like. So I seasoned it with salt, pepper, garlic, onion, and then I added paprika and parsley, and I put maybe a teaspoon of bacon grease in there. And if I had chicken stock, I would have put that in there. And technically I have chicken stock because I made some broth recently, but it's frozen in the deep freeze, so I can't use it tonight, but I'll have to get it out for another night. And I do try to keep it in my fridge, but whatever, I'm human. Anyhow, I added just a little bit of water to it. Oh, and honestly, if I didn't have chicken broth, I would use like bouillon, which is really not that great, but listen, everything's about balance, and I don't have any of that either. So anyhow, green beans are working. You know, they go from frozen, put them right there frozen, add everything in, and they'll just cook, and the water kind of steams it, and I don't even put a lid on it. I'm gonna get the pizzas going, because you know, my thing is, if you're going to be cooking, why not make as much as possible? And since I'm using some of the same ingredients, and this is so easy, the oven's already on, I'm going to make these pizzas for after school snacks for Taylor. And truthfully, if you didn't have pizza sauce, you could just use this heirloom tomato sauce or any tomato sauce. It doesn't have to be pizza sauce. The only difference is pizza sauce does have sugar and it's a little bit thicker. But this would still work. And vice versa, if you didn't have that sauce and you wanted to make the chicken, you could put pizza sauce instead of marinara sauce or tomato sauce on your chicken and call it pizza chicken, you know? You can do whatever. Recipes and ideas are just that, ideas. Recipes are guides, so you can make it your own. Alright, the chicken is out of the oven, and I moved everything around, so we have Daddy's portion, Taylor's portion, Mommy's portion. And I also sprinkled a little oregano on the cheese. So those are ready. The green beans are done, and I'm going to put this in the broiler for just a few minutes. And then after that's done, I'm going to put the pizzas in. Now, if I were to eat these pizzas tonight, I could just put it in with the chicken. But all I'm looking to do is just melt the cheese. I don't want to broil it yet because we will cook those in the air fryer after school at about 370 for 3 to 5 minutes, no longer than 5 minutes. Definitely do not use the pizza setting because it will burn it. Green beans, like I said, are done, and the pizzas are going in now at 350 because again, I just want to melt the cheese. Just barely melted. Dinner on Wednesday night, mozzarella chicken and green beans. Good evening. Today is Thursday, and for dinner tonight, we're having shrimp and sausage with fire roasted tomatoes and lentils. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing just yet because I'm kind of torn between doing Indian and doing like New Orleans style, maybe jambalaya or something. But what I'm going to first do is start by cooking the chicken. I didn't thaw anything, even though I had a meal plan. I just did not take anything out of the freezer. So I'm actually going to cook this in the skillet, and I'm just going to put some water in it just to kind of heat it through. And then I'm going to like add everything else. And then I wanted to show you, this is a shrimp that I picked up from, I either got it at Sam's or John Jones. I can't remember because I got a 2-pound bag from each place. But all I do is just fill it, I don't know, halfway with cold water and just let it sit in the sink to thaw it. And it's thawed. And then I took a pound of it out and put it in another freezer bag because, and I love having like this barbecue bacon and shrimp skillet dish. And we're going to have that, I don't know, maybe next week or something. So I just put the shrimp in this bag and then added the rest of this sweet and spicy G. Hughes barbecue sauce. I really like that one. And then we also had the original that we used for the like little smokies last week. So I just finished off one bottle so I can just get rid of it, and then I put a little bit of here, a little bit of the original in as well, just to fully coat the shrimp. And it's basically like marinating in barbecue, and then I'll use that for another dinner next week. And I did get out my chicken stock that I made. Now, I didn't get it out last night. I got it out today. So it may thaw enough to add a little bit to this dish, or it may not. Either way, it's out and I have it for other things. So I need to decide which way I'm going with this, and I will be back to let you know what I chose. Because, by the way, Taylor is not really into this spicy chicken sausage, and since I have salmon and green beans left over from the last couple of days, she is going to have that for dinner. So I figured out what I'm doing, and like I said, I just took this hot Italian sausage and I put it in the pan. It was frozen. I just took it out with some water just to cook it through. Once it's done, I'm going to put it on a plate, and then I'm going to cook the sauce, or stew if you will, in here along with the shrimp. And then we've got Taylor's salmon and green beans all heated up. By the way, I don't own a microwave, so I heat everything up on the stove or in the oven or in the air fryer. It's New Orleans. So we're going with salt and pepper, garlic, onion, paprika, and then red pepper flakes. And then we got this crab oil. It's basically like an Old Bay from Virginia, and it was from the local fishmonger, which is awesome. And their slogan, by the way, is support your local hookers. I love that. That was really funny. And so anyhow, oh, I've got some diced onions too. I'm going to put in here and get that up and kind of make kind of like a stew consistency. So like, I knew I was going to have shrimp and lentils for dinner. I just didn't know exactly what I was going to do with it. We've got the onions in the pan now. I transferred the chicken to a plate, and it is mostly cooked, but it's going back in, and I am keeping it whole for right now, just for like portion control for myself. Anyhow, I did dump out the water that was in this pan, but I left the bits from the sausage because that is flavor, so do not throw that away. And for right now, I am trying to get a little bit of color on the onions. Do not add any salt yet. I'm actually getting ready to add salt because I don't want them to be burnt. I just want a little brown on them. Then I'm going to add the tomatoes, and then I'm going to add the lentils and all these spices. And then once it comes to a boil, I'm going to add the shrimp. It'll take like a few minutes to cook. I'm going to add the chicken in there, let that continue to cook and heat through, and just let it simmer and let all the flavors combine, and I will show you what it looks like in the end. That's called deglazing. So I've got the sausages nestled in the stew. I'm going to taste it and see if it needs any more salt, and then we're ready to eat. Put a lid on there to help steam the shrimp. They look like they're done. Definitely don't want to overcook them because no one likes rubbery shrimp. My dinner on Thursday night, shrimp and sausage lentil stew. It's delicious. Taylor, are you dressed for gymnastics? No. You better get dressed, sweetie. Are you ready for gymnastics? Had like just enough time to get that going. Today is Friday. It's Valentine's Day and quesadillas for dinner tonight. We used these as our tortilla. I have some homemade salsa, shredded cheddar cheese, and just a ground beef taco mixture.